Welcome to the June 20th Division 8 meeting. We've got a lot on the agenda today. We'll take the full 30 minutes, at least the full 30 minutes, because we have a couple things that we normally don't have on the agenda. But we'll roll through here. And one thing we are not going to do today is the back to basics, because we have several photos sent to me as part of the share what you're doing for open load. So we're going to take that time to do that instead. I think you'd be pretty impressed with what work has been done out there. So here's the meeting agenda, of course, call to order and so forth. Virtual meeting housekeeping notes, pretty much the same as always. We've got audio turned off for everybody just so we don't have background noise. If you really need to come online and say something, you've got something really important you need to throw in there, go ahead. Otherwise, Ron is monitoring chat and he will be enabling people's audio as we get through here, because we do have a couple people who are going to say a few things. But for the most part, we'll use chat to make motions and seconds and ask questions and so forth. It works a little bit better that way. And as we've done before, we'll use polls to approve meeting minutes and treasurer's report. We're going to go ahead and do the 5-minute. Oh, no, don't do that. I just had a McAfee scan pop up here. We'll take a 5-minute break between the business meeting and presentation by Bruce McCowan, so that'll give us enough time to get set up and give you enough time to refill your coffee cup or to do those things you need to do because you drank a bunch of coffee this morning. And the meeting is being recorded and should be posted to YouTube within the week, and we will announce that when it is. Put it in groups.io. Again, if you're not familiar with Zoom, even if you are, there's not a bad refresher screen. Down on the bottom, of course, is the little toolbar that if you're on a PC at least, you'll see across the bottom if you move your mouse down there. On the left, mute, and of course, turn the video on and off, a little caret or a little up arrow kind of sort of looking thing to the right of each of those. We'll give you some options. If you go into participants, you can see a list of everybody who's in the meeting, whether or not their video is turned on or their microphone is turned on. And you can also go in there and raise your hand and do a couple of other things. And of course, you scoot one over from there. Chat is, of course, where you can go in and ask questions and so forth. All right, moving right along. First thing up, I want to welcome 2 new members. I don't think they're on the call. I didn't see them show up in the participants list. I know they got the invite because it was sent to them a couple of times, but Gerald Sewell and Paul Taylor are new members as of June, I believe, is when they are officially with us, but they joined the NMRA back in May. So they've received a welcome email from Eric as the acting membership guy, and an email from me as well as the superintendent. So yay, hopefully they'll show up at a soon future meeting. Assuming everybody has read the, and I know you have read the minutes online, so I'm going to ask for a vote here to actually, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the minutes as posted on the Division 8 website. And Ron, I'll let you watch that in chat. So someone make a motion and a second for that.
Anyone?
Or not.
Here we go. Eric
seconds.
Second it. Mark Hedge seconded.
All right.
So move, Mark Norman. Okay.
All right. So I will launch the poll and then vote yes, no. I know it's going to be yes, of course, but be official here and we'll do this. And I'll give it just a moment here. Wow, that's quick. Way cool. All right. So that's been about, in fact, I know it's been 15 seconds. Your little timer up there, and there's results. Yay. All you're all good guys. Okay. Moving right along, I will go to the next item on the agenda, and that is the treasurer's report.
Well, good afternoon. I do have a treasurer's report. See, there really is one. I'll quickly run through some of the information. Won't take but a second. Any questions?
Not seeing any, not hearing any. Do we, and again in chat, to have a motion to approve the treasurer's report as submitted, and then a second.
So moved by Mark Norman.
Okay. And a second by Bill Edwards. All righty. Here's the poll. So vote yes, vote no. And that's about 10 seconds. And that's, there's my 15 seconds gone. I'll go ahead and end that. And no surprise here, but you can take a look and see how that works. So, all righty. Thank you very much. And thank you, Mike. All righty. Moving right along to standing and special committees. Joe Fields, do you have anything for us today? I saw Joe.
He's there.
Can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay. Not a whole lot going on in the achievement program. I was privileged to go meet with Mark Norman and Ed Brennan. I don't know, been a while now, either earlier in the month or the latter part of May, and they judged my 3 motive power models, and that paperwork's been sent to Frank. And tomorrow, he always does stuff on the 21st of the month, so as of tomorrow, he should be looking at my paperwork if he hadn't already, and hopefully he won't find anything wrong with it and approve it. And that'll give me my 6th certificate towards my 7. I know Rick has got a prototype modeler project that needs to be judged. Just be glad to get with him whenever that comes. He gets around to getting the paperwork finished up on it. Other than that, nothing else going on. But I do want to put out to everybody that even though we are kind of quarantined, we still can meet. Like I met with Mark and Ed at Scale, and we had the mask on and the social distancing, the whole 9 yards. So it can be accomplished. So if you've got something other you need judged, let me know, and I'll get another judge, and we will meet with you at Scale or some other place of your choice, and we'll get another judge for you. So the achievement program is alive and well. Just don't forget that. And as always, give me a call or email me if you have something other that needs to be looked at, and we'll get her done. And I guess that's about it for the achievement program for this month.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much. All righty, and moving right along, Barry. Barry should be there, and
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Want to give some thanks to Fred and Barbara and to Bob Kukler for all the amazing assistance they've given over the past 2 years for our model contests. And more recently, we've had Bob Frankrone that's helped me tremendously with our model contest membership survey that we had. And then Eric Wagner, who kind of imagined with me over the past couple months what a virtual contest might look like going forward in the future. And then for all of the above, Ron Ellison and the media committee helping out in all those ways and working with the model committee. So thank you to all of you for the efforts and for the whole division for supporting the model contest. So today we're going to announce the winners of the 2019-2020 model contest year. This encompasses a total of 6 contests, the last of which was back in February. Very unusual year, maybe a unique year for the division, certainly nothing like this before. So let's go right in now and announce the winners, and we'll start off with 3rd place. And it's my privilege to announce that Rick Geertz is our 3rd place winner for this year. So congratulations to Rick. Just a stellar effort that he put in for all 6 of the contests there. And I also want to offer my gratitude to Rick for graciously accepting my apology to him, because I did make a 1-point error in my calculations for the contest for February. And he actually had a total of 12 contest points altogether rather than the 13 that I had announced in the pie card due to my error. So thank you, Rick, for that and for a really, really good year. Also, my apologies to the membership for the confusion about that. And I'm really grateful for everybody that's helped us to revise our presentation of all the contest rules And that will also help me as I'm doing the tallying for the coming year and everything. And now for second place, we have Bill Lynch with a total of 13 contest points. And congratulations to Bill, someone who has consistently provided excellent models in our contests for many, many years. And we're just so happy for that. And now, drum roll, please, for our first place for this year. It's Joe Fields with a total of 17 contest points. Again, someone who is very consistent over the years and excellent modeling and excellent entries. So thank you to Joe and congratulations to everyone. We do have Scale Reproductions gift cards for all three of our winners. We're thinking about maybe presenting those the next time we can have an in-person meeting. If that ends up being a long time away, we'll go ahead and revisit that decision and make sure you all get your gift cards, definitely. So now going forward into the new contest year, which will begin in August, I will be continuing on helping out by keeping track of the monthly contest points and announcing the monthly contest winners, and then also writing the monthly update for the pie card. And now I'm going to turn it back to Fred and to Ron to talk about our ideas for the virtual contest going forward. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you for all the work you do, keeping this straight. And it's a great thing you do, dude. Thank you. Ron, it's all yours.
Okay, well, we were asked by the board to come up with a way to do a virtual contest. And so we've come up with a plan, and we want to give you a little quick demonstration today of kind of how it might work. And we are going to try a trial in July, trial contest in July, and the category is going to be cabooses, which was a missed category from last May. Oh, by the way, here's Bill Lynch. Just a few minutes too late, but he'll figure out what's going on.
You can watch the video.
Yeah, there you go. So let me share my screen with you, and I'll give you a quick little demonstration of, well, we'll go quickly over this slide here before we do that. We are going to run, as it says, a test contest in July just for fun, no points. The new contest here will start in August on the regular schedule. And we will be going to the website here in a minute and show you how you can figure out what the contest is if you want to know. And we'll also be talking about how to vote on the contest entries. And then, of course, the winner each month will be announced as it is now at our monthly meetings. So
Ron, you ready to go live? I'll stop my share.
Yeah.
And you can share.
So here we are in Groups.io. Those of you who aren't a member of Groups.io, what you'll see when you get an email from us will be something completely similar in terms of the text. This is a post out of Groups.io, which most of you are familiar with. As I say, those are not. And so you see here, June, well, this was from a test we did with the board of directors. So here it's called the June contest. And we did a test here with a diesel engine. And as you see, there's a link here, which we'll follow in just a second. And then it tells you that you can view the photos and the entry forms from this link. And then you return to Groups.io to vote, or if you're voting via email, you have to send a separate email to Division 8 Gmail. This will all be covered in the email that you'll receive announcing the contest entries, or else you can also call in on the Division 8 phone line or text on the Division 8 phone line, which will also be included in the email. So let's just go here to the Division 8 website, to the contest page, and here you see this is not what it looks like today, but this is what it will look like soon once we update it. This is a test page that we developed. And so you see here in this area here what the various contests are, starting in August with mow equipment and photos and so on throughout the year. So here's where you come to see what you need to make for your next contest. And also the contest rules are here, and then a further description of what the contest is down this area here. So right here is where you will be able to go and view a document that includes the current month's contest entries. So this is entry number 1. It has a description which would be submitted by the contest entrant. And then you'll see highlighted here what the details are. This is the only way we could figure out how to do this that would be universal, that would show up in everybody's screen. This indicates that this model is not modified, of course. And then a description. And then down in the footer, it tells you that you can actually go to Google Photos to see additional larger pictures of all these photos. And then, of course, it tells you here that you vote for this particular entry either in Groups.io, email, or on our phone line. And so this is the second entry here. This one is detailed and modified. It's not really, but just to show you, this is another one. We're featuring UP diesel engines today, one of my favorites. And this is entry 4. So there'll be as many entries or as many entry numbers as there are entries for the contest. And so that's a quick demonstration of.
Hey, Ron, before you go on,
like.
Ron, before you go
Yeah.
on, can you scroll down just a little bit to the bottom of the page, and then of that page, and then click the link where you say you can also view photos here?
Okay, well, this takes you to.
And it's not a big deal, but to show folks, oh wow, there are more pictures there.
It takes you to the Google Photos, the Division 8 Google Photos page, and you can see there'll be one picture of each of the contest entry here if you want to get a better look at it. And the reason to go here is because you can click on it and make it full screen and really see the detail. And then you can go from picture to picture. If you can't do it, if you don't have these arrows appear on your screen, then you should be able to use your arrow keys.
Thank you.
And so then you can go back, just keep hitting your back button here on the top of your screen, go back to this document, go back to the web page, and then of course you can go back to this page to vote. And see, you can see here I've placed my vote for entry number 4. So it'll be fairly straightforward. That's why we're doing a test in July, to make sure everybody's up to snuff on this, so we can help you if you have any questions. And I'm going to stop my share now, Fred.
So I'll go ahead and ask, are there any questions for Ron or any of us for that matter, at this point, before we move on to the next item on the agenda? I think everybody knows why we're doing this. We're still not able to meet in person. If we met at the 600 room right now, we did the math in there, and it looks like we could get 8 people, maybe 9 in there, and still do the 6 feet separation, and everybody'd be in there with face masks and so forth, and it'd just be nuts to try and do that. People I've talked to in the division, either through email or on the phone, have all said, yeah, we're not ready to come back and do a face-to-face meeting right now anyway. So to give us at least a little bit of normalcy and continue to move on with things like the contest, this looks like a solution that will work. It's not the same as face-to-face. We get that. A Zoom meeting is not the same as face-to-face. It's interesting though, some people have said, I kind of like the Zoom meeting because now I can see the presentation up close and personal instead of trying to squint and see it from the back of the room. And with everybody else muted, it's kind of quiet as well. So, this is our attempt to try and give us some normalcy, at least for this. If you've got questions, if you've got suggestions, we are open to hearing about them and moving forward. The guy who spent most of the work is the person who just finished giving you the demo, Ron. Ron came up with most of the ideas. He's bounced it off of all the board members and Barry as well, worked with everybody. We think it's going to work pretty well. it looks like there's a lot of steps, but once you go through it, once you're going to go, and that bad. It isn't that many steps after all. And it's like the first time you tried to learn to drive a stick shift, and you stalled, trying to get your brand new stick shift driven car out of the parking lot. After that, you got it. No big deal. You wonder why it was so hard. All right, I'm not seeing any questions in chat. I'm not hearing anybody coming off of silent mode. So I'm going to go back and share my screen, and we will move on then. All righty. Upcoming shows, upcoming sales. This is where we are right now. We know that Thunder has been canceled. We know a bunch of other shows have been canceled for the fall. Our no-go date for Louisville Train Days is coming up soon. We'll make a decision on that, and the train show probably right about the same time. And that's all I'm going to say about that right now. I'm not going to share what I think is going to happen. I'm just going to be very quiet now. We're just going to move along, but that's what it looks like. And of course, the NMRA X conventions, NMRA X virtual, Ask the MMR and so forth, those are going on. There's a bunch of other stuff going on as well. Other online live or virtual events you need to know about, of course, the next Division 8 monthly gathering / roundtable is coming up Saturday, July 11, 2 p.m. by Zoom. And if you haven't been to one of those, check it out. We've had pretty good attendance, just about the same as at these meetings, at the regular business meetings. Kevin Jones has agreed to talk about his ON30 caboose scratch build. If you've been following it on Facebook, you've seen a lot of the photos already, but it'd be nice to have him talk through the whole process as one chunk instead of kind of serialized as it has been watching it on Facebook. That reminds me of watching Chris Broughton's build of his football case micro layout, and then getting the whole thing all at once last month during our gathering. Rick Geertz is going to talk about some recent open load builds. He's going to show one of them today and give us talk just a smidge about it. And then Mark Norman has agreed to talk about an SD70 rebuild project, and he may throw some other things in there as well. I'm never sure what Mark is going to do, even when Mark tells me what he's going to do, Of course, there's also the OPSIG stuff. I talked about NMRX, and there are some other things going on, including NRHS monthly meeting that we are all invited to as well, and so forth. All right, moving right along here. I think everybody knows the picnic is not happening, so we are holding a Division 8 meeting next month on the same day at 2 p.m. So the picnic was scheduled for July 25. You had it already set aside to go there to the picnic. Well, we're not going there. Bring your own brat, your own hamburger, your own hot dog, or, ribeye, whatever you want to do, and your adult or not beverage of choice, and enjoy the meeting on the 25th of July. And of course, that's when we're going to do the first run of the test for the virtual contest as well. Today, Bruce McCowan is here with us to do part 2 of One Can Still Make Models for Model Railroads. That'll start after we do our break. And then next month, again, a Zoom virtual meeting, Jerry Albers. Russ Weiss was able to convince Jerry Albers with his Virginian Railroad to come in and talk to us about things I wish I'd known about DCC. I have seen this presentation. Jerry's did a little bit of update about it. I'm kind of curious to see what he's changed. While I don't agree with everything that Jerry says in his recommendations, I certainly watched this presentation several times before I started wiring up the layout we're building here in the basement. Good stuff, especially if you've not done anything with it, even if you have got some stuff going on. But of course, that'll be virtual. And then after that, in August, Ed Swain will come in and talk about some updates to his layout. And we'll talk a little bit more about that next month when we get a little bit closer. So those are today and the next 2 monthly business meetings that are coming up. Remember, stay connected, Groups.io, Facebook, of course, and the website. If you have problems getting into any of those, holler at me, holler at Ron, holler at any of the board members, and we will get you set up. That is, believe it or not, the agenda that we had for today's meeting, the business meeting. What we normally do is roll into back to basics. I'm not going to do a back to basics today. I had it all set up. thinking that we might get 1 or 2 people to come up with 1 or 2 pictures for open loads. I got 5 guys with 11 photos of things that, or 11 different items that they have done. So we're not going to do back to basics. We're going to roll right into the show and tell by photos for open loads. And as I said last month and in the pie card, email your photos, descriptions to me and so forth. These 5 guys, good on them, had actually come forward, sent me stuff. We've done a couple emails back and forth. So we've got a short slide deck here about that. And Rick Geertz is up first. Ron, can you unmute all those guys so they can chat about this if they want to, please? So we'll start off with Rick. And the way these slides are going to go is we're going to show the description, and then we're going to show the work, and then we're going to show the description again. So it's kind of like what I learned about education is tell them what you're going to show them what you said you were going to show them, and then tell them again what you just showed them. So is Rick out there, Ron? Hello? Anybody? Let me see if I can find Rick. Oh, wrong Rick. I don't see Mr. Geertz. I thought he was here. I guess not. All right. So you can read what it says. And here's his work. And I think I can, whoops, got to go back there. So there you go. It's a one side, back side. So it's both sides of his open loads. Awful lot of nice looking chain and so forth on there. And I'll go back again and show you. Its loads were done about a month ago before Bob Franklin's article in NMRA magazine. There you go. All right, move on. Craig, is Craig here? I don't think I saw Craig come in. Nope. Okay, so Craig sent 2 things. First one is this Monon flat car. There you go. Nice looking set of tractors. And of course, he's taken the photo from both sides as well. Get a good look at that. If I can zoom in a little bit. There you go. Get a good look at some of those tie downs and so forth. Some of the blocking that has gone on there. There you go. All right. Resize that. Go to the next slide. And Bob Franklin, I'm pretty sure you wanted to chime in here, sir. Oh, excuse me. One more for Craig Hatter. Sorry.
That's Craig.
Yeah, I got one more for Craig. Sorry, I forgot. So Fair's Beer Train and so forth. Second one is Southern. And there you go. I'm going to zoom in there a little bit more. Take a good look at that one. Take a good look at this one over here. Good looking stuff. All right. So as everybody knows, I think everybody knows, Craig is big into modifying rolling stock, as in rolling stock that rolls on the highway. Does great modeling on model railroad stuff, but he is big time into modifying cars, vehicles, trailers, and so forth. All right. Bob Franklin, now it's your turn, sir. I'll roll the slides for you. Just holler at me when.
Yeah, go ahead and go to the picture. So I always enjoy gondola loads. I call gondolas sort of the garbage cans of the railroads because the railroads throw anything into them. So I bought a Sioux Line car, which out of the box, I needed sunglasses to look at it. It was so bright white. And of course, anything in scrap service is going to be beat up. So I took a lot of liberties. I chipped away at the hard plastic with hobby knives and what have you. I used the brace of erasers to weather the lettering. And of course, I added a lot of chalk and just acrylic paints and what have you. The load itself, I was walking through a parking lot one day, looking down, always keeping my eyes open for something. And I found a rusted piece of metal that fell out from a car, a side panel of a car or something. And I took it home and I just used a pair of pliers to bend it and break it up and threw it in there. And it's just all natural rust. So I didn't do anything to the load other than pour it into the car. Next slide, Fred. You can go ahead into the picture. So the next one, I was reading an article in Model Railroader magazine probably 2 years ago now, and the article was on how to weather a bulkhead flat car. And the article was well written, but I was more interested in the picture of the load that the author had in the flat car that he had weathered. And so from the picture, I copied the load as best I could. And it's merely evergreen styrene H channel picked up at scale and painted it the color I needed it, painted the ends a little primer red, used a white fine tip brush to letter the lengths, you know, the 50, 45, and 40-foot lengths. A lot of blocking with scale lumber. I always have tons of scale lumber on hand. The one thing I did do is the bulkhead ends, I use scale 2x6s to cover those, and use India ink and alcohol mixture to weather that. And the tie downs are just a heavy thread. The columns are banded with striping tape. I think I used 1 32nd inch striping tape. And the tie down cables is just like a heavy duty coat thread you can get at Joann Fabrics or something like that. All right, next slide. So I retired from the Naval Ordnance Station here in Louisville, and we were always doing gun barrels. We didn't do, during my time there, we never did the 16-inch gun barrels, but I always had a infatuation when they would come out of the shop looking all nice and freshly painted and reworked and so on and so forth. So American Model Builders came out with a 16-inch gun barrel kit, and the barrel itself is just a resin casting, but the kit has all of the mounting hardware and the tie-down brackets, the nut and bolt castings, even had the do not hump sign as part of the kit. You just cut out and mount it on a piece of styrene or something. A friend of mine, the superintendent from the Northeast region, Bruce DeYoung, sent me a picture of the prototype being, I think it's in Maryland. He wasn't the photographer of the picture, which is why I couldn't use it in my magazine article that I did on this load, because I didn't have any rights to it, but I'll show it here. Nobody turn me in, please. Anyway, that's the actual 16-inch gun barrel from one of the Iowa-class battleships. And you can see they're putting it on a 8-axle flat car heavy duty. I didn't have one at the time I made the load, so I just mounted it on a car, which is probably undersized for the load itself. But it was a fun kit, a lot of little detail parts. And if I do the kit over again, I wouldn't do a new one coming out at the paint shop. I didn't have the photo, the top photo of the prototype before I did this model, but I would think I would have made it one coming in for overhaul, because you know, there's a little bit more interest there. It's not as bland, it's not as boring. So if I had to do it again, I'd do an older gun barrel, not a newly refurbished one. All right, next slide, please.
Sure.
All
Railroad ties.
right, yeah, the railroad ties. So, you know, generally, if anybody follows any of my articles in the NMRA magazine, you know that I don't do prototype modeling per se. I do representational modeling, something that looks like it could be a prototype model. In this particular case, I said, I'm going to try my hand at prototype modeling. So the picture I got was from an article in Model Railroader, a gentleman by the name of Matt Snell. I think he's a member of Division 7 up in the Cincinnati, Southern Ohio area. Anyway, I contacted him and I said, do you mind sending me one of your photos? I'd like to use it to create a load. And he graciously sent me the photo on top of your screen there. So I was able to get a very similar car. I think it's Walter's car, I'm not sure, a center beam flat car, same color and all. The railroad ties are actually Northeastern scale. They sell them in a package. There's 750 of them in a package. I think I used 748 of them with 2 to spare to make this load. And I just bundled them together in bundles of 20. I then, you know, using just white glue, careful not to get it out on the seams, because the next step was to stain them with an Indian ink and alcohol stain. And I did this a couple of times to get them, tried to get them as dark as the photograph picture. And 2 or 3 times it took to do that, but it's a quick process. And I used, again, striping tape to band it. And I always like, when I do my bandings, I always like to have the crimp rings on there. So I use a little red fingernail polish because it's a thicker and it gives kind of a 3D look. And I just dab a little bit on the bands. Yeah, there you go. And the prototype had some markings on the ties, I guess, either manufacturer's marks or markers for the workman crew, where to set them out, or the types of tie. I'm not sure what the markings are. So I bought a little fine point yellow Sharpie, and as best I could, just made some marks. Trouble is, it kind of bleeds into the wood because the wood's not sealed because I have to stain it, right? So, but anyway, they do have a little bit of marks on them. And once again, the cabling is a tie-down thread that I had. I used a lighter color so that it would stand out against the dark ties. I originally started, I had the black tie-down cables, and you couldn't see them. They blended in with the ties. So I used a little lighter color. But anyway, that's my one attempt at prototype modeling, and it's all fine and good for you prototype modelers. All right, next slide, please. All right, so this is my latest. I finished this just last week. So Fred is always, or not always, but many times Fred will see something about open loads, and he will send those to me in an email. And most recently, he sent me an email of a blog by a gentleman by the name of Tony Thompson. And I said, hey, Bob, you might be interested in this. So sure enough, I opened the blog, and he talked about some heavy-duty loads by a gentleman by the name of Eric Thur. And this is one of the prototype loads. It's a double bearing steel casting. I don't know, it's part of a hydraulic press, but these are from the photo was actually from the Bethlehem Steel photo archives that Eric happened to have on a CD. So it so happens that in the article, he talks about a company called Multi-Scale Digital. I think they're a relatively new company, maybe 2 or 3 years old, if that. And they do 3D printings. If you can go to the next slide, Fred. So they do one of that double bearing casting. In fact, they have many of the photos that were on this CD from Bethlehem Steel, and they do several large casting, hydraulic press type things. And so they happen to do this double bearing steel casting. So I ordered it, not knowing what to expect. And it arrived within a few days. I think it was $18 for the part, but it was flawless. I mean, I didn't have to take a file to it. I didn't have to take any sandpaper or an emery board or anything. I mean, I just immediately started painting it. It was incredible. I think I washed it off first for but there's no mold stuff on it because it was 3D printed. But anyway, so I selected a color that kind of popped at me because, the thing I like about open loads is they sort of make a statement. They sort of stand out. And in reality, something like this being shipped would probably be covered, right? Because, you have the little bearing cylinders there. So you'd probably want to cover that. You don't want that to get rocks thrown up and scratched and all that. But what's the fun of that, right? I mean, a covered load, big deal. So in this case, I got to make a little skid for it. And I have tons of scrap lumber, and I don't really have a blueprint for any of this. I just look and think, how, what would look okay. And so I constructed something using the base is scale 4x12s, and then the other lumber is scale 8x8s. And I stopped by a hobby house, and I picked up a couple of nut and washer castings that I put on there, and I painted again so that they kind of stand out. Because that's a metal deck heavy-duty flat car. That's the old Athearn 8-axle flat car that they produced as a blue box kit years and years ago. And I happened to pick that up at a swap meet for $2 or something. So, you can't walk away from that. So I put the skid on there, and since it's a steel deck, I bolted it to the deck. Why not? And I like using my computer to make a couple of signs. So I was able to get the steel, US Steel logo online, and I made a little sign for that. They want to advertise. They're proud of their castings, so they want to advertise that. And of course, I don't think you'd want to use this guy in a hump yard in any way, shape, or form. So I added a do not hump sign. So I finished that, I guess, on Tuesday, and I emailed it to Fred, said too late to add it, and so he graciously added. So, the great thing here is it's other modelers sharing with other modelers. I would have probably have not, maybe I would have stumbled across this company, eventually, because I do a lot of open loads, but Fred's email that said, hey, Bob, you might be interested in this guy's blog. He's doing an open load segment. And sure enough, not only was I interested, I bought this particular one, and it's such a fine piece when it came out with all the detail that there were others that I will probably buy in the future. So, Fred, thank you for your email to me. And
Welcome, sir.
I think that is it.
Yes, sir, it is. And I'll tell you all that it's kind of come full circle because Bob went out and bought this thing and told me about it, and now he's told all of us about it. Multi-Scale Digital LLC also makes a bunch of transformers for loads and for static as well. I need to come up with a transformer train. That's what I'm calling it, transformer train for the McLeod's Pitt River project. That'll be part of one of our operating scenarios once we get this thing built out here. And if you attended the last NRHS meeting, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't, that's okay. You can talk to me later. At any rate, moving right along. Bill Lynch, are you out there, sir? Do you want to talk about your Fairmont Tamper? Bill, I know you're there. Bill.
Okay, I had to find the right button to unmute. This was my first experiment with pewter kits. I had this kit probably for 10 or 15 years and never done anything to it. And so I finally decided I was going to put it together. And it was a real trip. But it doesn't fit my errors, so I thought, well, this would be perfect for open load.
There you go.
I can't really use it on my railroad.
So what era would this have been, Bill?
Probably about the early 80s or somewhere in there.
Ooh.
80 or 90.
Ooh, maybe 1981. Ooh, I know someone who's modeling that era.
Yeah. So
Looks good.
thank you.
Yeah, I was impressed when I saw it. I did not realize it was pewter. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's different. That's
Yeah.
a different medium.
Yeah, I'd say. All right. Thank you, sir. Thanks for sharing. All right. And Steve Lasher, I don't think is on the call. Russ is here. He may have a couple things to talk about these, but he sent in a couple things. First one is a couple of intermountain flat cars, some Herpa military tanks with some added details in here.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Russ.
You know, I have a great memory. It's just short, but I think these were HEPRA tanks. But the thing that I'd like to point out on everybody's open loads is, the loads are great, but if you look at it, it's really a lot of work goes into the chaining them down, the straps, and so on like that. Just like on Bob's, the 3D mold there. That to build the proper device that would keep it from shifting or rolling and so on. If you notice that Steve, not only the chains, but then some of the extra items that would accompany this load that they would take off for shipment, which are in the boxes either in front or in back of the tank there. So then just the usual stuff. But
Thanks, sir. And the second one he sent was a pipe load on this Proto 2000 gondola.
Same for this. When I went to go move it around the layout, it's almost like the pipes are wrapped in a thread I mean, like a stitching thread. I thought, well, wow, that's kind of unique. So I'm not really sure. Forgot to ask him what they were, but again, if you look at the the work that went into the shipping of this, to where all the just like on all the other loads that you've the members have shown today, that they have to scratch build the restraints or whatever from it. So you can see all the extra work that went into this to make it a believable, not only the load, but the shipping of the load.
Thanks, Russ.
Yeah.
And thanks to Steve for both of you guys sending that stuff in.
I will pass that along to
You
you.
betcha. And that is the end of our open load sharing, what you've been doing. And that is the end of the business meeting, if you will. Although the business meeting really ended, before we started this. I don't know what Bob Dawson will put in the minutes for that. But Bob, are you still muted, Bob Dawson? He is.
Okay.
There he
So
is.
Bob, what were these tanks?
M47, no, 46s or something
That's
like
what I
that.
thought too. Yeah, that's what I thought
Yeah,
too.
I think it's the same type tank that Arnold Schwarzenegger has 2 of them.
Oh, there you go. Well, there you go.
Because he drove them in the Austrian army, so he bought them. And I know the guy who did the paperwork so Arnold Schwarzenegger could get them.
Oh, geez. Thank you, Bob. I knew you'd have the trivia answer for me.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. We're going to take a 5-minute break in place. I'm going to stop sharing. We're going to get Bruce McCowan set up. This is your chance to do your bio break, whatever you need, except for Bruce. He's got to stay here because we're going to get him set up. Thank you very much. And a round of applause to all those folks who share their open load stuff with us today. Great stuff. Thank you.